Hello everyone, Ma'am Shell here, and today I would like to welcome you to the first of our TOP series. Ano ba yung TOP? That's Theories of Personality. And I'm actually doing this recording for my students who are unable to attend the two sessions that we had for theories of personality, but this is also for the rest of you who would like to review, no? Kung ano yung napag-usapan natin sa ating previous discussion. Okay? So, for today, I will be talking about a few things, no? So, I'll talk about what is personality, what is theory, what is a theory, and what makes a theory useful. Ayan. So, what is personality? Ano yung definition ng personality? So, at its most basic, personality is the characteristic patterns of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that make a person unique. So, sabi dito no, sa slide natin, personality daw is a pattern. So, meaning, it is not random, it is somehow organized and repetitive siya, no? Sinabi niyo yan kanina dun sa mga naka-attend ng discussion. It's repetitive. And because pattern siya, it remains fairly consistent throughout life. Okay? So, sabi din dito that it is relatively permanent, meaning you could expect how a person is based sa traits and characteristics that the person manifests because itong mga characteristics and traits na ito will not likely change, or if it would, sabi kasi dito, di ba, it is relatively permanent. So, meaning, relative, pwedeng mabago pero there might only be a slight change with that person. But overall, kung ano yung nakikita mo or pinapakita niya sa iyo na traits and character niya, yun siya. Yun yung core niya. Okay? Now, we all have our own unique traits, no, with different intensities, and these traits and the different intensities give us our own uniqueness. Okay, so it is a dynamic organization within the individual of their psychophysical systems that determine their unique adjustments to their environment. So, meaning a person's personality will likely tell you how a person would react, what the person will do, what the person will say, ano yung gagawin niya when faced with certain situations. Like dun sa example ko sa inyo, di ba? Last time, dun sa first meeting natin about sa GF and BF nyo, di ba, na nahuli nyo na may ka-holding hands. Di ba? So, iba-iba tayo ng reactions. Yung iba, kalmado lang. Yung iba, mapanakit, violent, di ba? Sasagasaan daw nila. Yung iba naman, tahimik lang, tititigan lang daw nila, tapos lalakad na ng palayo habang umuulan. May mga ganun pa silang pa-effect. No? So, meron namang simpleng mapang-attack, no? Kapag nakita nila, lalapitan, i-congratulate pa silang dalawa, tapos sige, magsama na kayo. So, ganun, iba-iba tayo ng reaction kasi iba-iba tayo ng personalidad. Iba-iba tayo ng personality. So, yung patterns ng pag-uugali ko, iba sa patterns mo, iba sa kanila, iba-iba tayo, iba-iba tayong lahat ng patterns of traits and characteristics. Ayun. So, uulitin ko lang to at bibigyan ko ng emphasis, no? Pag sinabing relatively permanent, na kahit na medyo may pagbabago, no? Slight lang yon. Mas likely na hindi na ito magbabago. So, kung niloko ka ni GF or BF mo, no, mga ilang beses mo siyang nakitang may ka-holding hands, nahuli mo siyang may ka-holding hands, habang kayo pa, di ba? Yun na siya. So, wag ka nang mag-expect pa. Wag ka nang umasa pa na mababago pa siya. Kasi yun na siya eh. Kayo nagsabi kanina, di ba? Sabi ko, what comes into your mind when you hear the word pattern? So, you say, ma'am, repetitive. Paulit-ulit siya. There is some form of consistency. Sinabi niyo yan, di ba? So, ganun na siya. Consistently, ganun yan siya. Paulit-ulit lang yan. Repetitive siya. Slight changes, pwedeng, okay, sorry, hindi ko na uulitin, magbabago na ako, nagbago, tapos inulit-ulit. Kasi yun siya, yun ang personality niya. Okay? Ako lang naman to, na-experience ko kasi to mismo, no? And kala ko magagamit ko yung pagka-psych major ko, hindi pala. Ayun, kasi, ayun, ganun yung personality. Okay? So bago pa mapunta kung saan yung ating discussion, let's talk about the word origin of the word personality in psychology, no? So it stems from the Latin word persona, which refers to a theatrical mask, no, worn by performers in order to either project different roles or disguise their identities. Well, for most of us, no, we tend to think na kaya nagsusuot ng mascara to conceal one's identity. Originally talaga, it is used in theaters. No? Yung mga theatrical mask was used to represent or project a specific personality trait or a character. Personality trait of a character. So, sa plays, di ba, halimbawa, isang actor. Tapos magsusuot siya ng different types of mask kasi it represents different kinds of character. So, isang actor siya pero iba't ibang character yung pinoportray niya. So, dun yan siya nanggaling. No? So, from the Latin word persona, meaning theatrical mask. Now, while there may be many, many different definitions of personality, if you read different books, may different meaning siya. If you search the dictionary, it will give you a different meaning. Google it. No? So, madaming um, simple, complicated meanings in personality. Pero tayo, as psych major, we will mostly focus on um, the meaning of personality in relation to the patterns of behaviors and characteristics that can help predict and explain a person's behavior. Kasi yun yung goals ng psychology, di ba? Kung natatandaan ninyo, in your general psychology, you talked about um, the four goals of psychology, di ba? So we have this to describe behavior, to explain behavior, predict behavior, and then affect or change the behavior. If ever there's need change, if ever there's something that needs changing, so we try to change behavior. It's the goal of psychology. Change or affect behavior. No? So, dun din, basically, iikot yung goals natin sa TOP, sa pag-aaral ng TOP, to be able to, number one, describe, no? Because personality theories attempt to identify and describe personal characteristics that people share, and then also to determine and also explain the factors that produce their unique expression by any given person, no? And then, when we already understand these factors and we can observe how these factors affect people, and we see, no, the behavior happening over and over again in real life, nakikita natin siya, no? We can then already predict and in the end, hopefully affect and change behavior, especially if there's anything problematic, no, with the behavior of a person because of personality. So, lahat ng pag-aaral natin in psychology, lagi natin siyang ina-align dito sa mga goals na to. Okay? So, again, ano nga yung mga goals niyan? Dapat tatatandaan niyo siya, ha? Hanggang pag fourth year na kayo. So, to describe, explain, predict, change behavior. Okay? Now, going back to personality, explanations for personality can focus on a variety of influences, ranging from pwedeng genetic effects, pwedeng onto the role of the environment and experience of the individual, no, that shapes the person's personality. So, di ba na-mention ko din to last meeting, yung tungkol sa nature and nurture part. Okay, so what actually exactly makes up a personality? So, dito sa slides natin, sabi there are 5. So, characteristics, traits, thoughts, feelings, and behavior. Ayan. So, characteristic and traits. We have already had a quick discussion about this last meeting. Okay, pero i-discuss ko siya ulit for those of you who were not able to join us in our discussions and conversations about this. So, when examining the term characteristic, we will try to understand it in the sense of quality. No, a person with good characteristic is considered as a person with good qualities. Okay? Ano ba yung example of good qualities? Honesty, integrity, kindness, helpfulness, and a lot more positive qualities. No? That, now a person with a bad characteristic or a bad character being characteristic coming from the root word character is considered as a person with bad qualities such as manipulative na tao siya, ganyan, rude person, deception, no, yung ilan sa mga qualities na hindi positive. So a character is usually to be imbibed, meaning natututunan mo siya, no? You build characteristics, no? Based on socializations and associations that you have. So, for example, when a child is taught good qualities and is socialized in a favorable environment, then yung child na yon will naturally learn to build positive characteristics. Okay? So, nabibuild yung positive characteristics. So, characteristics are being built. Okay? And saan siya nanggaling? Nanggagaling ito sa mga primary socialization of the child. So, if the primary socialization of a child is very positive, for example, the parents and other relatives, no, they create a good impact on the child through their actions and behavior, then the child notices good qualities in others and then begin to internalize such qualities also. Okay? Let me just have water break. Ayun. Now, a trait, on the other hand, is a feature of an individual which is inherent. Okay? Ano ba ibig sabihin ng inherent, ma'am? No? So, a feature of a person that is inherited normally genealogically. Okay? So, ang emphasis dito is that unlike a character that needs to be molded, okay, a trait is inherent. So, yan yung main difference between characteristics and traits. In other words, it can be said that the trait is all about inheritance, whereas characteristics or character is all about associations. Okay? So, yun ang main difference nila. Okay, now aside from characteristics and traits, no? Ano pa ba yung nagme-make up ng personality? So, personality is also made up of patterns of thoughts, okay, emotions or feelings, okay, and also behavior. Yung mga yan, they play an important role, no, in how we act or behave. Like the thoughts and the feelings, they play important roles in how we act or behave. And so behavior also becomes a makeup of our personality. Diba our personalities are perceived based on how we act or behave. So pag nakita tayo ng ibang tao na ganito yung ginagawa natin during a certain situation, no? Pag merong certain happening na nangyari, tapos ganito yung behavior na in-exhibit, no? Sasabihin agad ng mga tao na, ganyan pala siya, ganyan pala si Ma'am Shell, ganyan pala yung pagkatao niyan. So, ma-judge talaga nila yung personality mo based on how you react to a specific situation. Okay? Kasi yung behavior mo, of course, nagmumula yun sa thoughts and feelings mo. Kaya ka nag-act out ng ganon kasi yun yung naisip mo, yun yung naramdaman mo. And yung lahat ng yon, bumubuo yun ng personalidad mo. And of course, kaya din ganun siguro yung thoughts mo, pati yung behavior mo, it's because yung characteristics and yung traits mo nakaka-affect din doon sa kung paano ka mag-isip, paano ka makaramdam ng mga bagay, at paano ka mag-act out sa mga feelings and thoughts na to. Okay? So again, we have characteristic, traits, thoughts, feelings, and behavior. So all of these things make up a personality. Ayan. So pag-usapan din natin ano yung fundamental characteristics of personality. So I think kanina sa discussion ko, hindi ko siya masyadong na-explain no, dun sa ating actual meeting kasi nagkaroon ako ng problem with the slide presentation. So I'll be covering this now and I want you to take down notes no para mas maintindihan siya. May fundamental characteristics ang personality. Okay, number one, consistent siya. So consistency. Okay, second, it is both psychological and physiological. So nasabi ko sa inyo kanina, di ba, that it is a dynamic organization of the psychophysical, di ba, nung individual. So psychological and physiological siya. Okay, and then it affects behavior and actions. Okay, so behavior and actions make up a personality. Characteristic din siya ng personality na nakaka-affect talaga siya sa behavior and actions. And of course, multiple expressions. So isa-isahin natin siya. So when you say consistency, there is generally a recognizable order, no, and regularity to the behavior. So essentially, people act in the same way or in similar ways in a variety of situations. So surely, no, yung mga moods natin might change. Pwedeng you may be happier today than yesterday, but generally, yung mga reactions mo, whether you are happy or not in the mood, yung reactions mo to situations have some sort of consistency. So kung halimbawa, you are normally a kind person or a calm person, pero today you are not in the mood for anything, for example. Okay? So kapag ka merong nag-trigger sa'yo, pwedeng yung response mo ay hindi masyadong kalmado, but generally, your response is still out of kindness. Diba? So pwedeng hindi ka masyadong nag-entertain ng mga students mo ngayon. Halimbawa, ako, no? So, generally, ako naman ay very considerate, ganyan. Pero pag may mga times na sobrang pagod ko din, I have to attend to my son. So, pag may nagme-message sa akin, so sinasabi ko lang na, I can't attend to you right now. I'm sorry, I'm busy. You can message me maybe tonight or later. So, ganon, na parang generally, kung ano ako, kahit naman good mood or bad mood ako, I still try to be a considerate individual kasi yun ako, consistently. No? So kahit na, parang mapapansin mo naman yung parang wala sa mood si ma'am. Ayan. Pero hindi naman ako maninigaw, hindi naman ako magwawarla sa'yo, ganyan. Kasi consistently, siguro, I want to believe that I am a considerate person. Ganun siya. Okay, now, it's both psychological and physiological. Okay? Personality is a psychological construct kasi, di ba? Nag-aaralan natin siya in psychology. Pero, research suggests na influence din talaga siya by biological processes and needs. So, you may relate it again to the nature versus nurture concept, no? That we have been talking about since last meeting. Okay, so although it is a psychological construct, nakaka-apekto talaga yung mga biological processes natin and yung needs natin as an individual to how we react to things, no? How we think, behave, and feel, ganyan. Okay? Also, it affects behaviors and actions. So, it's a fundamental characteristic of personality. Personality not only influences how we move and respond in our environment, but it also causes us to act in certain ways. Okay? And finally, no, multiple expressions siya, no? Characteristics ng personality. Meaning, personality can be displayed not just through behavior, it can also be seen in our thoughts, in our feelings, yung close relationships natin. So, ma-observe mo yan sa tao, anong klaseng relationships meron siya sa ibang tao, no? It will tell you about the personality of a person. Anong klaseng social interactions meron siya sa mga taong nakapalibot sa kanya. Okay? So that is also another way of an expression of personality. Okay? So, multiple expressions. Ayan. Ayan. Sige. Tapos na tayo sa personality. Na-cover na natin briefly. Briefly ba yun? Yung discussion on what personality means, no? So ngayon naman, meron akong itatanong sa inyo. Kung last time, tinanong ko sa inyo sinong may BF at GF, as anong gagawin ninyo kung nahuli ninyo si BF at GF niyo. Ngayon naman, naghiwalay na kayo ni BF, no? Yung bagong tanong, no? Related din siya dun sa nangyari sa inyo nung Monday sa BF and GF nyo. Nung nakipag-holding hands sa iba. Kaya ngayon nag-break na kayo. Ayan. Diba? Kasi you respect your own boundaries, ganyan. Kaya naghiwalay na kayo. Diba? Ano sa palagay ninyo ang maaaring maging dahilan bakit naghihiwalay ang mga mag-ex? So sabi dito, pangit ka ba? Pangit ba ako? Kapalit-palit ba ako? So, hindi ako pangit, no? Kung pangit ako, mas pangit siya. Mahal ko lang talaga siya, kaya hindi ko nakita na di naman siya kagwapuhan. Ganyan. Or, kapalit-palit ba ako? Parang hindi naman. Parang mabuti naman akong tao. Or maybe, baka nagsawa na lang talaga siya. So, kayo dyan, sa mga nanonood dyan, i-comment ninyo. Ano sa palagay ninyo ang maaaring maging dahilan bakit naghihiwalay ang mga mag-ex or ang couples, no? Ayan. So, marami kayong sinagot kanina dun sa discussion natin. Sabi niyo ay, ano ba yung mga sagot ninyo? Hindi na siya masaya or may mga hinahanap siya na hindi nyo kayang ibigay. Ganyan, di ba? So, affected kayo masyado. Active na naman kayo kanina sa pagsagot dahil sa tanong. Diba? Marami pa kayong sagot kanina, hindi ko na matandaan. But, type it down sa comment section para makita ng iba kung ano yung sa palagay nyo reasons why exes separate. Okay? So, there is no one reason why exes separate. You can think of many, many different reasons and explanations bakit hindi nag-work yung relationship ninyo. No? So, why your relationship did not work out. And this is also true for theories of personality. There is no one theory that can fully explain, no, yung vastness ng concept of personality. Okay? Each of the theories, no, they attempts to explain why people are the way they are. Pero yung mga explanations natin kanina, no, yung bakit tayo iniiwan, these are our own attempts to understand what has happened. No, they are more likely to be subjective, no, and they are not really scientific. Na talagang well-researched and published para sabihin na magagamit natin siya to explain the phenomenon of breaking up. No, kasi maaaring yung mga explanations natin na yun, they are subjective, bugso ng damdamin, no. Ayan. So, ganun yun. Yung mga sinasabi natin, mga explanations natin na madami, na iba-iba, para siyang theories. Kasi mga assumption natin yun. Na kaya kami nag-break dahil ganito. Another reason is this. Ayan. Okay, so now we will begin to talk about theories of personality. So, madaming reasons, no? Madaming explanations kung bakit ganun ang personality. Diba? And we will be talking more about that today. So what is a theory? No, it's a supposition or a system of ideas intended to explain something, especially one based on general principles, independent of the thing to be explained. Okay? So the definition of a theory in psychology, simply put, is a set of principles, no, that explains how something works. In other words, a psychological theory is an attempt to understand and explain human behavior. Kasi yun yung goals natin, di ba? Goals in psychology, yung ma-explain natin yung human behavior, one of the goals yan. So, ayun. So, a psychological theory is an attempt to understand human behavior, understand and explain human behavior. To make it simpler, since theory of personality yung pag-uusapan natin, no? So, a theory of personality attempts to explain what is the personality of a person, bakit ganun yung personality niya, um, yeah, why is that person's personality that way, and how do we predict the personality, no? And marami pa tayong ibang questions na pwedeng tanungin. Now, these are just some of the questions that we may ask when we dig deep into the study of personality. Okay? So, babalikan natin yung tanong, bakit ka iniwan ng ex mo? Or bakit mo iniwan yung ex mo? Di ba pag may mga ganyang ganap, we as human beings, we try to explain. Overthink tayo, nag-explain tayo, ano bang nangyari? Ano bang nagawa ko? Diba? So, we try to come up with answers to explain why and how did we end up this way? Ganon. So, we formulate our own theories. Okay? We try to explain it in our own terms. So, we may say na, okay, naghiwalay kami kasi una, hindi kami parehas ng personality. Hindi kami magkasundo. Bakit kaya siya ganun? Ba't ganun ang personality niya? Bakit nga nagawa yun? Okay? Bakit niya ako niloko? Yan. So, may mga ganon. So, finding number 2, niloko niya ako kasi hindi siya masaya sa buhay niya dahil hindi siya love ng mama niya. Yan. So, di ba may mga ganon? Nabasa ko sa Facebook. Ayan. And number 3, pwede mong sabihin na, siguro, he or she has had traumatic experiences about love or about attachments during childhood. Kaya ngayon, ganito na siya. So, yung explanation mo naman na yan, medyo naka-first level ka na sa psych niyan. So, naaral mo na siya na yung mga past events pala natin, especially nung childhood tayo, nakaka-affect sa behavior natin as we become adults. Kaya yun yung explanation. Yun yung theory mo. Yung mga ganon, no? Ang dami-dami mong theories about the person, no? Or about the personality of a person. Bakit siya ganon? Bakit kanya iniwan? Kaya kayo naghiwalay. So, yung theories mo, maaaring may basis naman siya talaga, no? But they're not always applicable truths, no? Parang ganun yung theories no? Hindi siya laging applicable explanation for reasons why people are breaking up. Okay, so meron ngang tanong dito sa slide natin. Sabi, are theories truth? Are they the truth? Actually, no. They are not always true. They are assumptions that try to explain, no? They attempt to explain a certain phenomena. Okay? Hindi sila immutable laws. So when you say immutable, parang not capable of being changed. No? So meaning they are changing. That is why there are many different theories of personality. Kasi one theory may not be able to explain, 'di ba? Kung bakit ganito yung personality ng isang tao. Okay, maybe another theory can support bakit ganon, but still lacking ang explanation. So another theory might come up that will explain a person's personality better. Or maybe all of these theories of personality, pwede mo siyang gamitin to understand really bakit ganito ang personality ng isang tao. Kasi nga, hindi isa lang ang nakakapagpaliwanag sa atin kung bakit ganito ang personalidad ng isang individual. Yan. So, you may ask, ma'am, bakit we are all about these theories? If they are not true, bakit natin pinag-aaralan? Bakit nyo kami pinapahirapan sa research? Kailangan pa namin maghanap ng mga theories na yan para sa theoretical framework sa aming research. Ang hirap-hirap maghanap ng RRL, di ba? Diba? So, hindi naman pala yan truth, ma'am. Hindi pala truth ang theories. Okay? So, it is vital to note that the importance of a theory does not lie on its truthfulness, but on its usefulness. Okay? Also, even though theories rely on speculation, the theories that will be that we will be talking about, yung mga theories that we will be presenting to you as we study TOP, are theories na talagang well-researched. And these are theories that have survived the test of time. Okay? Yung mga theories na pag-uusapan natin, they are sets of related assumptions that allow yung mga psychologists, no? As scientists, kasi psychologists are scientists, di ba? Scientific study nga ang psychology, di ba? So it allows scientists like psychologists to use logical, deductive reasoning to formulate testable hypotheses. Okay? Ayan. Speculation in the absence of controlled observations and empirical research is essentially worthless. So scientific and logical ang mga theories na ito, na mga i-discuss natin. Hindi lang siya bugso ng damdamin, no? Though it is also very interesting to note actually that the theories of personalities are based on the theories, yung proponent ng theories, no, own personalities and experiences. So, ganun din naman, di ba, pag pinapasulat kayo ng mga research. So, kailangan may personal relevance siya sa inyo kasi ba't mo siya pag-aaralan if hindi siya somehow connected sa interest mo, sa experiences mo, di ba? So, kaya tayo nagre-research kasi nakaka-relate tayo doon sa mga questions natin. Okay? Yeah. So, now, what makes a theory a good theory? No? So, sabi mo, ma'am, hindi siya truth, pero important siya kasi useful ang mga theories. Yes, they are useful. So, good theory siyang matatawag kung useful ang theory na ito. Okay? So, what makes a theory a good theory? A good theory is a useful theory. Okay? So, paano natin masasabi na good siya? So, a useful theory, a good theory, can explain a phenomenon wisely and with enough evidences that will support the understanding of certain phenomenon. So, if one particular theory helps you understand something better, then maybe that is a good enough theory. Okay? And aside from that, no, aside from it's able to help you understand something better, organize data, no, better, a good theory is also used over and over again to explain certain phenomenon. So, pag palagi-lagi siyang nagagamit, it remains a useful and good theory. Kasi pag hindi na siya nagagamit, eventually, like in research, di ba? Pag hindi na siya nasa-cite sa mga literatures, sa mga research, then maybe this theory is not as useful as it used to be then, no? When it's always cited in researches, no? Then maybe this theory might now be obsolete. Okay? It may be good then because it is useful then. Pero pag hindi na siya useful, hindi na siya good theory. Okay? So ano-ano yung characteristics ng useful na theory? Number one, it generates research. Okay? So sabi ko nga sa inyo kanina, na pag lagi-lagi pa din siyang naku-quote na site sa mga research, diba? Sa mga thesis ninyo, ayan, ibig sabihin, useful pa din ang theory na ito kasi ginagamit niyo pa din siya. Kaya useful siya. Kaya good theory siya. Kasi it generates research. So a good theory has a mutual and dynamic interaction with research data. Ayan. So that's one characteristic of a useful theory. Number two, it can be falsified. Ayan. So, falsifiable siya, yung theory na siya, meaning you can question it, you can challenge it, and there's you can prove na false siya or wrong siya. Okay? Now, falsifiability means that there's a way for you to prove it wrong. Baka kasi kung hindi mo na siya ma-challenge, hindi mo na siya maku-question, then ano pang usefulness niya? Paano mo pa siya aaralin ulit? So, kung hindi mo na siya kailangan aralin, hindi na siya useful, di ba? So, falsifiability means pwede ka pang mag-derive ng more information from it, maybe because you think that this theory might still be lacking. Okay? So very ironic siya kasi it's lacking but it's a good theory kasi it's a useful theory because you can falsify it. Diba? Falsifiability is a prerequisite for a theory to be a scientific theory. Diba? Kasi questionin mo, ihimay-himayin mo, i-challenge mo. Without falsifiability, um, whatever we are doing siguro may not be considered scientific, no? So, kailangan this theory can be falsified. Actually, yung theory ni Sigmund Freud, no, sobrang daming theories ang nag-arise after psychoanalytic theory kasi merong mga nagdagdag, merong mga iba yung konsepto, meaning hindi agreeable kay Freud, no? Kasi nga, can be falsified yung kanyang theory. So, a lot more hypothesis. Yon, isang characteristic yun. It generates research kasi um, it can generate more hypothesis based on the concept of that theory. No? So, yeah, another characteristic of a good and useful theory is that it helps you organize data. Okay, so if it helps you understand something, mas napapadali yung pag-intindi mo sa isang concept because of this theory, and you are able to apply it in real life situations, then that's a useful theory. 'Di ba? Kasi minsan meron tayong mga, for example, nakikita sa personality ng isang tao and hindi mo ma-explain bakit kaya siya ganito, bakit kaya ganito yung mga actions niya and decisions niya. Tapos may nabasa kang isang theory na nag-explain. Ito yung sabi ni Anne Klein, ganito pala pag ganito pala yung explanation nun. So it helps you organize data and then it guides you, your actions. It helps you apply in real life situations kung ano yung mga sinasabi ng theories. Diba? Ayan. So good theory yon if it helps you organize data. It helps you understand something better, no? Then goods yun. Okay. Also, a useful theory is internally consistent. Okay? So internally consistent siya meaning it has a systematic or logical flow. No? Minsan ng isang theory, marami siyang components. Halimbawa na lang yung ni Sigmund Freud. Diba? Meron siyang unconscious, meron siyang provinces of the mind, id, ego, and superego. And then when you talk about developmental psychology, meron din siyang theory doon na psychosexual stages of development. No? If you are going to try to look at his theory of the unconscious, id, ego, and superego, and then his developmental, psychosexual development theory, merong consistencies yung mga iba't ibang konsepto niya na yon. So, different elements, no? It was explained separately, naiintindihan natin, but kahit na iba-iba or separate explanation, when you look at it, kaya mo siyang intindihin as a connected whole. So, hindi sila pwedeng hindi nagbabangga kasi under psychoanalytic theory sila. Lahat, parang ganun. So, dapat internally consistent sila para hindi sabog-sabog, di ba? Para hindi sabog-sabog yung ideas mo. So, dapat yung theory mo is internally consistent. Okay? And finally, a useful theory is parsimonious. Wow, big word, ma'am. Ano ba yung parsimonious? So, pag sinabi natin parsimonious, kailangan very simple. No? Simple and easy to understand. It's not just simple. It's supposed to be the simplest explanation. Ano yung pinaka-simplest explanation? Okay? Yun yung parsimonious na theory. Okay? And if it's simple and easy to understand, no, then it's a good theory. Because it's useful, di ba, when it's simple. Okay, now, you know how theories are written. No? When you read the books, parang hindi naman siya talaga simple. Ang dami-daming sinasabi. No? Pero if you are really going to understand what this theory is saying, maintindihan mo naman siya. no? And there are different theories na parang isa lang naman yung tinutumbok nila, pero merong isang theory na mas madaling intindihan as compared to the other, then that is a more useful theory, okay, than the other theories existing. So pag sinabi nating parsimonious, it is a theory that is simpler than other competing theories because it introduces assumptions that are easy to understand about the subject in question. Okay? So halimbawa, theory on bakit kayo naghiwalay. Theory number 1, naghiwalay kayo kasi hindi kayo magkasundo. Okay, so that's theory number 1. Yung theory number 2 mo, naghiwalay kayo kasi may plano siyang magtrabaho abroad at pag nasa ibang bansa, LDR. Pag LDR, mahirap ang communication. Maraming ibang makikilala. Kaya magiging selosa na. Kaya hindi na kayo magkakasundo in the end. Kasi mag-a-abroad siya. Okay? So, at the end of it, hindi kayo magkakasundo lang din yung gusto niyang sabihin. Pero dumaan pa siya sa LDR, nag-abroad, mga communication barriers, and then selosa magiging ganyan dahil maraming makakilala. So, that theory is so elaborate, di ba? Although parang similar lang naman sila ng theory number 1, mas madaling intindihan si theory number 1. Kasi simple lang siya and easy to understand. Okay, so that's about it actually for today. Yan. Kung meron kayong questions, I want you to write them down sa comment section natin so that I can answer those questions also when I meet you again next week. Next week kasi next week si Ma'am Rimat po yung magdi-discuss sa inyo ng psychodynamic theories. Okay? But ayan, nilagay ko dito yung psychodynamic theories so that you can have an overview so that when you meet with Ma'am Rimat, I want you to be able to share something. Okay, so the psychodynamic theory is a psychological theory that Sigmund Freud and his followers applied to explain the origins of human behavior. Okay, so the psychodynamic approach includes all the theories in psychology that see human functioning based upon the interaction of drives and forces within the person, no? Particularly the unconscious and also between the different structures of the personality. Yeah, okay, and Sigmund Freud's psychoanalysis, parang siya yung pinaka-original psychodynamic theory, okay? But the psychodynamic approach as a whole includes all other theories that were based on Sigmund Freud's ideas. Pero si Carl Jung, no, in 1912, so nagkaroon siya ng mga additional tungkol dyan. Si Melanie Klein, si Alfred Adler, si Anna Freud, and si Erik Erikson. No? So they have added something to the original concept of psychoanalysis by Sigmund Freud. So yung kay Adler, nagkaroon ng introduction to the individual psychology. Analytical psychology naman kay Jung. Object relations theory kay Klein. Karen Hornay's one is psychoanalytic social theory, and then ayan. Si Fromm din pala kasali, Erikson Fromm, humanistic psychoanalysis. And then yung kay Erikson, Erik Erikson, so post-Freudian theory naman. Okay, now the words psychodynamic and psychoanalytic are often confused, no? Now, you have to remember that Freud's theories were psychoanalytic, whereas the term psychodynamic refers to both his theories and also those of his followers na na-mention natin kanina. Now, I want you also to know that Freud's psychoanalysis is both a theory and also a therapy. Okay, kasi baka mabasa nyo, nakikita nyo na sabi ni ma'am, psychoanalysis is a theory, pero parang may nakita ako na therapy siya, ginagamit pala siya for therapy. So yes, they're both a theory and a therapy. Okay, so I want you to read more about those that I have mentioned about psychodynamic theory so that you can get to share more about um, it or about these during the discussions of psychodynamic theory. So that's about it for today. Thank you very much, and I'll see you again soon.